Good evening, sorors, philos, and rowers, and welcome to Sigma Gamma Rho State of the Sorority Address. I'm Angela Spears, your past International Grand Apostolius and current Southeastern Region Corporate Liaison. We do apologize for the delay and getting started. We know you had to switch platforms, you got an email, but because we had such a high demand, that's the reason why we had to switch. This year, this sorority year, we know has been very difficult due to COVID-19. We've had to think outside of the box when it comes to programming and to recruiting. We've had to love on each other virtually. Unfortunately, we've lost some sorors and our loved ones, but you know what, Sigma family? Together, we are stronger. It's a new sorority year and new opportunities are here for us. I'm so honored to be a part of this State of the Sorority Address, and I hope you're excited about it too, because this is history for us. The first time we've done something like this. It's a little different, so bear with us. It's okay. Our fearless leader believes in doing things differently. She likes to try out things. We know that Madam Grand Basilisk, International Grand Basilisk Rashida Liberty, is very innovative. She always says, hey, if I'm going to fail, I like to fail fast, right? We're going to do it, learn from it, and move on and be better next time. So this is what it's all about, a learning experience. And we are excited, but we know this is going to be a success. We know that you're going to enjoy this. She's going to sit back and answer questions for you about our organization. Under Rashida Liberty's leadership, she's leading with vision, driven with purpose. Soros, Philos, and Roars, I am just so honored now to introduce my soror, my friend, my sister, my leader, International Grand Basilisk, Rashida S. Liberty.
Good evening to my sorors and welcome to the State of the Sorority Address. I want to first say this is new, this is different. I know there's been some moving around and Soror Spears was very eager to share that information, but we have had such an overwhelming response. We have changed what our platforms look like and how we're working. So this is new for our tech teams. This is new for our headquarters staff. We're going to try it out. And she's right. I'm all about failing fast. We started this sorority year really thinking innovatively and innovatively around how do we approach the sorority with a plan that they can get behind. And so that plan has been built on 7 thrusts, and you'll hear many of those this evening. And I want to kind of go through those with everyone just so you know what those are. And you may want to jot them down. You're going to hear about them over and over again as we go through this process. But social action, membership benefits, membership growth, as well as undergraduate success, branding and marketing, as well as community impact, and of course, operational excellence. So we have some good things in store, and I am just simply excited to be with you tonight to just share where we're at and where we're going. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Madam Grand, I have so many questions for you. Are you ready to get started? You ready to answer them all?
I'm ready. I feel like it's gonna be a bit of a question, but with Soror Spears behind the wheel, I don't know what she's gonna ask me, but I feel like I'm ready, and I want to be as honest and transparent with our organization as possible, and not just our sisterhood, but I know we do have our affiliates involved as well tonight. So I want to just say welcome to all of our Philos and Rowers as well.
Okay, this one will start off easy. Okay, we'll start off very easy. What's been the biggest surprise or that aha moment that you've had since you've become the International Grand Basilisk?
Ooh, I would say there's been a few, but I will say that coming off the role of first grand, I knew that there were a lot of heavy decisions in the role of Grand Basilisk by sitting and observing. For some years, I've served under quite a few Grand Bacilli, but no way, I would say the volume of work is about the same, but I'm more focused on the magnitude of the decisions and the pace in which this role has to move. It's a very fast pace. You really shift your focus as Grand Basilisk from being more internally focused to externally focused. And what that means is I have a passion and love for the membership because I served in that role as first grand for so long. But my world now is about protecting and elevating our sorority. And so it really is externally focused in the role of Grand Basilisk, where I'm working more with our partners, our vendors, contracts, appearances, making sure I represent us. And then, of course, I would say being a Neo on the Council of Presidents. I'm like the baby. They call me that. You ready, Neo? You're going live. And in addition, I would say membership expectations on both our headquarters staff and our officers. I see it from a different perspective now, being in this role. So very different perspective.
What keeps you up at night?
Oh boy. Okay. I would say really looking at our staffing at our headquarters in proportion to our Sigma family. So we have a very large Sigma family and we grew very fast. So in the last 4 years, I've shared this number before from my previous office, we grew 45%. That's a heavy, heavy lift. And we were already in some ways behind in how we functioned with our membership. But right now, with the size and the rapid pace in which we're making changes and things like that, I would say what keeps me up at night is knowing that I probably have some members who are not being serviced, right? They may be waiting on an email, they may be waiting on a response for something. And it's not necessarily the fault of our headquarters staff, it's just the sheer volume that they had to deal with our Sigma family. We still want that personal touch. We're not used to being self-service yet. And so I think of that when I think of keeping me up at night. Our technology needs are great, both on the hardware and the software side, to create that self-service model for the organization where you're not always going to be able to pick up the phone, just like you can't call your governor and pick up the phone right away. We're getting to that size where we're the size of small cities. And so we can't function this way anymore. And then I think also building a brand equity in our market. So as we're shaping and building from that corporate lens, is how do we show up as Sigma Gamma Rho? I think about that often. I think about that a lot.
That's so important because you have to think of that image for Sigma Gamma Rho and the Sigma family. Now, I've served on the boards with you at the regional level and at the national level, and it is, you have to have that cohesiveness, right? The cohesiveness of getting everybody on one accord. How's it been for you as Grand Basilisk getting your board together?
That's a good one. We had a bit of I would say it was blurred for a minute. July 31st, we were told we were going to be national officers. And then August 1st, we had our first board meeting at 10 a.m. on August 1st. And so that was a tough transition. In other words, there wasn't a transition. So we walked right into our offices. We started out with kind of first getting our hands around what is the job, transitioning with our former officers. And I would say the key that brought us together was we spent 2 very big weekends together formalizing our 7 thrusts and how we would work against those. And each of the national officers formed a One Sigma plan, meaning they came up with one key win for their office and built out a strategy around that one key win. And then we brought in our regional board of directors to build that cohesiveness. Now, since I've been in the organization, I don't think I've ever seen that done, where the national board said, here's what we believe needs to happen, and then bringing in the regional leaders, respective of those areas, and doing breakouts and saying, so how do we work together to make sure that we function as one Sigma? And so that was done. I think that brought the board together in a special way, but also brought the whole organizational leadership together in a special way. We also did a training. So we did a series of trainings. And I know our board members were just exhausted because we did these on Tuesday nights every single week. And we did new leader assimilation. I thought it was important for them to know who I was as a leader, how I operate, what my expectations are, and at the same time form contracts with them about how I would work with them. And I'll tell you, you can ask me a story or two about that. And then we took courageous conversations. We took a course on thinking big. We took a course on understanding how we work together with a DISC analysis. And I found out through that process that I am the only D on the board of directors. So if you ever want to know what a D is, look up the DISC analysis. I'm the only D, which I only represent 10% of the people in the world. And all US presidents have been Ds except one. So it says something a little bit about the character of that person. I won't say the character, but the foundational ways of operating about those people. At the same time, our board of directors, we are collectively an S or a C. So that means that I have very careful people and I have a lot of people who think first about the people in the membership. They work with their hearts, and so that's an interesting dynamic in itself. And it's just been interesting how we come together, but we're learning each other and we're sharing that so that we can be better for our membership. We work well together. We'll bring the membership together.
So chapters need to maybe do this disc analysis, is
Oh,
what you're saying, that we all need to probably do this and learn. And I know, Madam Grant, working with you, I'm sure that the board is working very hard and you're working them very hard.
yes. Yes. Yeah, they say their joke to me, if they're listening tonight, is that my statement is there's no crying in baseball.
Yep.
So I no is unacceptable. It's yes, but we need to X. So they do know that. We do have some fun. We had a paint and fellowship party. Actually, I brought my painting on. We actually painted these.
You did a good job.
Yeah, didn't I do a good job? But some help. But our board and some of our staff came together, including our executive director, to actually do a paint party. So we do have some fun. We have some fun.
I want to now get into your thrust, the seventh thrust that you've been talking about. One of them is social action. We know that we are in election season right now. Everybody should have a plan, whether they're going to vote by mail, whether they're going to vote early, or they're going to vote on election day. What have you done to set the standard for Sigma Gamma Rho when it comes to election season?
I would say if you've been in Sigma Gamma Rho and you're not clear on what we have been doing for the last, oh gosh, it's been about 8 weeks or more. We have been completely focused with our social action agenda around voting. Actually, the very first partnership that I signed for Sigma Gamma Rho was When We All Vote, and executed that because it was so important. I work with the NAACP, and the real big partnership that we have is with the OWN network now. So with the OWN network, and hopefully you all saw the splash, and you'll continue to see the splashes throughout this week with Oprah. I'm not on there tonight. We have Syntacti's Thomasina Gore, who subbed in for me, who I'm sure did a great job. But our OWN network partnership has been big to really focus on first, how do we get people registered? And so we made the agenda for this administration around registration and making a commitment of 22,000 voters, and asking each soror to safely engage by using our virtual tools through that platform with When We All Vote. We started having some really great conversations with sorors who had political horsepower. So I would say Congresswoman Robin Kelly, she sent me a text that whatever you need, Madam Grant, and she really stuck by that, and she's made some great connections for us to get in spaces that we haven't been in the past to make some things happen. So we really have set that agenda on, first of all, register voters. Right now, we're all in get out the vote. We're all about get out the vote, early vote, get out the vote. And so that's where we've been spending our equity. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank our social action chair, Judge Anita Laster-May. She has done a phenomenal job. I probably work with her more than any other committee lead across the organization, as we've been really, really focused on this since I started day one.
And she's definitely awesome. Sarah Lester Mays is wonderful. She's awesome at what she does. And speaking of her role, you have the social action chair as well as a legislative chair now.
Yes. Yes, our legislative, I thought it was important to separate those two roles. And legislative action is a standing committee, which Anita Lasser May served on both as the lead. Well, I thought it was unique to separate those and have different chairs. And the reason why is because social action speaks to the issues, right? The issues that we're working on, but the legislative action, we need guidance there, and we need an agenda. And what that translates to is that when you have an agenda, now I can empower say, here's what we're focused on. And in the state of Florida, the specific legislation that speaks to this is this, which allows our sorors in Florida to get around that particular issue and know what legislation is they're facing within their state. So that's why it was important for me to take that information and not use the social action is broad, but the legislative action speaks to the laws that we can change at our local level, statewide level, as well as our federal level. And so Soror Yvonne Sherrill has done a great job with her team in really getting that set up. And that legislative action agenda, you'll start to see that translate immediately following this election season.
We know things are happening fast, Madam Grant, in this world every day. Every hour, every minute, things are changing, things happen. We're seeing it in real time. How have you made sure that Sigma Gamma Rho is prepared to respond or act when needed? When needed.
Yes, yes. And that is I like that you use that term when needed, because there are times when sorors want us to chase issues that don't necessarily speak to the agenda of Sigma Gamma Rho. Although they may make an impact on the world, they may make an impact on your city, they may make an impact on your state or our country, right? Sometimes they don't speak directly to Sigma Gamma Rho's mission. For example, we're not necessarily supporting, I won't say not supporting, our members individually may support climate change, but as an organization, that is not the vision for Sigma. And so what we've done is we've hired a PR firm, a very power pack PR firm who proactively watches what is happening, informs us quickly with a plan to address it. And you saw this with the demand that we put on them, that we will always have a response to any major news story that speaks to Sigma Gamma Rho, sorority broadly, a women's issue, something around youth empowerment. Those are really our key thrusts, right, for Sigma Gamma Rho. And so you saw that very quickly with the Ruth Bader announcement, with also Breonna Taylor, and really tying in our soror Sandra Bland after speaking with the family to make sure that we had clearance to do so. And so we have very targeted things that we will speak to, but within 24 hours of a news story, we have to do the research and the due diligence to make sure that we should be speaking on it as Sigma Gamma Rho. We don't have to retract our support because something new happened. That's why it's so important to bring in that PR firm, because they are the advisors in that space to make sure that we always maintain our brand equity to the world.
That research is so critical, that it has to be done before a response can be made. So critical.
Yes.
And we finished with this election season, November 3rd. So after November 4th, you mentioned just a little bit of things will be happening with the Legislative Action Committee. What's going to happen? Can you give us any more? Can you tell us just a little bit with both legislative action and social action? Because after this, we know in some states, like here in Florida, we'll be gearing up for gubernatorial in 2 years.
Yeah.
The gubernatorial election.
I think the legislative action agenda is a basis for that, right? So we will start preparing our members also, not only with the legislative action tool and what they should be fighting and addressing, because depending on how this election season shapes up, it requires a different plan of action, right? It requires a much different plan of action. And so I definitely want to be partisan on this call, make sure that we're not partisan, right? But we had two different answers. One answer may be a little easier for our issues, and one answer may be a little more difficult, but we still have a way to lobby for our issues, right? And so we want to start preparing our members with a legislative action tool. The second thing is really preparing members to seek public office. Through this process, I think I tagged almost every soror in some political aspect, personally, like reaching out like, hey, I need you, right? I won't blow the surprise, but we have a big announcement with the OWN network. They actually selected one of our sorors in the political arena that will be showcased through some commercials and advertising for Sigma Gamma Rho. So we're really proud of her. Her press office just received that communication, so I won't share that just yet. But we want to do more things like that, right? There needs to be more of us able to get things done. And the biggest part is this is definitely separate from Sigma Gamma Rho. So that's my disclaimer. This is separate from Sigma Gamma Rho. But a group of dynamic women of our sisterhood have gotten together with some strategic meetings to form a super PAC. And that super PAC would speak to Sigma Gamma Rho. So we had to file an emergency application process. That team is actually getting that formed, and to name and support and speak to the name and support candidates and issues directly. A PAC will sit side by side with Sigma Gamma Rho. Of course, we can't participate in that as the organization, so no committed funds from the Sigma Gamma Rho have been put into the PAC. All individuals who happen to be members of Sigma Gamma Rho that are passionate about making sure we show up in 2 years with a plan and a financial plan of who we will support and how we will support. So that super PAC is being formed. And then in addition to that, we want to host a virtual day on the Hill with our legislators. And so we have some good sorors in the DC area that are helping us with that so that we can have our day on the hill in 2021.
Wow, no wonder you don't sleep.
No,
You
no,
have a lot,
not
you
at
have a
all.
lot going on.
Not
And
at
I want to get down to another thrust. Like I said, I have so many questions
all.
and we want to get through them all. Let's talk about member benefits. Member benefits, very important with so many of us wanting to ensure that that mutual benefit with the sisterhood. How are you making that a priority for this administration?
We are bringing forward powerhouse partnerships. So I am taking the time, specifically, even this week, I took off from my real job and I'm working for Sigma Gamma Rho. So the executive director is now my boss for this week. And he gave me all of the MOUs and contracts that we haven't had a chance to talk about. I'm actually having partner meetings all this week to kind of work through details. And not only for Sigma Gamma Rho at large, but also for our centennial, right? And working with the Centennial team and making sure that they hear their need. I can transfer their needs to those contracts. And so every opportunity that I have, I am always like, and so what benefit will you provide Sigma Gamma Rho? I don't want you just to use my name. I want you to give us something, whether that be in-kind dollars, whether that be some kind of sponsorship. I'm looking for, I can boldly go as a negotiator and closer. This is what I do professionally for organizations, many Fortune 100 companies that I work for. This is what I do. So I don't mind going to them. And I want to just, can I just three things? I want to just we're working with a beauty and makeup company right now to design a special line of custom palettes for Sigma Gamma Rho and also offer master classes to teach skincare to our rowers and makeup application to our philos and sorors. And so that beauty and makeup company, we're really actively working with them and trying to figure out the negotiation and all of those pieces. But that was one of the first meetings I had the week of August 3rd. And then we're working with a jeweler to create some custom pieces, a very limited collection custom piece that stores will be able to purchase in preparation for our centennial. So when we say limited, that means it's a first come, first serve. It will be one of a kind. It will be historical, something you will pass down from generation after generation. It's not going to be, it's going to be a little pricey, but it's a customized. And then the last thing is we're working with a major tech company. And I won't even say we're working with anymore a tech company. We have signed the agreement with the tech company. We have signed the agreement. And so we are official with them as a partner. We have to wait for their PR team to sign off, but they will be developing and helping us develop our training institute to help women interested in developing their resumes, practicing interview skills, and really getting set apart for possible job opportunities with their company or any company once they receive these trainings. And they have given us a very gracious donation to make sure that that happens. So we are excited about them and more information to come. So that's what I mean when we talk about membership benefits, we're closing deals to really drive those.
And can some of these things be translated to the regional level and the local level? Obviously, we can't do it at the level you're doing it, but maybe can they be translated? And can we try some of those things at the regional and local levels?
Like try to definitely the negotiation, to be honest with you, I would say the negotiations I prefer at the top because we're able to sell a bigger audience, right? But when you think about what these organizations are providing, when we negotiate these contracts, I am talking about our regional conferences. I am talking about our area meetings. So I'm telling them like I have an area meeting. I have this many chapters. I have this many. So you will have access to those things. That is the plan of action, that you will always have access.
That's wonderful. And that's something that I think every region, every regional syntacti will appreciate, the corporate liaisons all would appreciate that, having that benefit. I want to move now to membership growth. That's so important, especially, we're on the road to our centennial to
Yeah.
2022 with the financial impact so many of us have had because of COVID-19, people losing their jobs, being furloughed, unfortunately, um, including our potential members and shift to virtual membership intake. How are our memberships? How's the membership going? How's it aligning?
It is actually going very well. So I knew that that might be a question. And so I did some research on behalf of Madam First Grand, Marika Harris. I have to give her kudos. I got to give her kudos. She came in right away. We had kind of a skeleton plan of what we would do if COVID continued. And she took that skeleton plan and said, let me build this out to be something bigger. And so she introduced, along with our membership services director, the LMS system to bring our torch virtual. Now, this is a first, right? So it's going to have hiccups. They're going to do a post survey to say what worked, what didn't work. Sometimes we look for things to be perfect, but sometimes we have to move with speed and work on perfection later. I always say we're going to have to fly this plane and build as we go sometimes. But that has allowed us to see the same level of fall torch that we would see as any other year following the boule. So very good strength in how chapters have showed up. I commend those chapters who wanted to be a part of this trailblazing group of fall 2020. I told them we're going to have to do something special for them. They are historical in how we're approaching this. So I really am proud of the work that our chapters are doing. Year over year. So when I say year over year, I'm talking October, last Friday over the last Friday of October last year, we are actually flat. So I can't say we're flat with two things. Mm-hmm. We're flat with COVID-19 looming. So that says something, right? Our stores are paying. And the second thing is we're flat with extended deadline for the grace period.
Yeah.
So what that means for us is that we will have another record-breaking membership year for Sigma Gamma Rho. We're well ahead of the curve as to where I thought we would be leaving the office of First Grand. So we're doing very well, and we're very healthy with our membership numbers. Very healthy.
Can you give maybe a quick advice, maybe two pieces of advice what chapters can do to help us continue to increase our membership because things are virtual, because we can't meet in person?
Yeah, this is forcing us to really try to rethink ourselves, right? And you're not going to be able to call someone over and kind of have an informational, but we can do branding on our pages. We can do informational sessions with the women that we want to have as potential members. We can do social events and invite those women virtually to come in and kind of enjoy time with you, not require it because that would be a hazing violation, but you can have a public event in which you invite those members to kind of engage and get to know you, play some icebreaker games. We want to make sure that you stay connected to those candidates because I'm going to tell you something. COVID-19, we as human beings are looking for connection. We're looking for sisterhood. This is a time where our membership should be growing. Our counterparts and other MPAC organizations have shut down intake in some of them. What does that mean? You have a market of women who are interested in joining a sisterhood or an organization that you can tap into. So Sigma Gamma Rho should be taking the lead to make sure that we can provide something of value for those potential women. We should always be in the mode of attraction, not necessarily recruitment. So attraction means what do you look like that makes people draw to you, and what things are you doing in this COVID-19 environment that would attract them to you versus their counterparts who are silent. So I would give you that piece of advice. Be out there, show up, not necessarily physically with your mask, but do the things that are important to attract the members.
I want to go on to another thrust here, undergraduate success. And I know you hear my dog Riley barking in the background. I do apologize. She's a good guard dog. She's here.
Real life. This is real life. My son just walked by eating some french fries.
You know, things happen. Dogs bark. So I do apologize, sorors and filers and roars. Undergraduate success. You know, this is you're talking about attracting people, right? Attracting graduate members, undergraduates. Now, we often say that they are the lifeline of our sisterhood. What can our undergraduate chapters be doing now to ensure that we get those young ladies there on the college campuses?
Yeah, I would say it really this part starts really at the top. And I say that because I'm actively working with our second grand anti-bacillus, Taylor Allen, as well as hearing the voices of our YSCs during our board connections. And our YSCs, these set of YSCs are special because these YSCs have spoken up way more than I have seen, not to disrespect any other YSCs, but they have really spoken up and they have a very good voice and they ask a lot of questions and they challenge me. So I think it starts really at the top, right? Attitude reflects leadership. And so we have some strong leaders at the top in those 6 offices. Our UCCs and YSCs have really across the regions been hosting those chats to drive connection with our undergrads to make sure that they bond with each other. But I want to challenge our undergrads to live up to the brand of Sigma Gamma Rho. And you may ask, what does that mean? That means, how do we show up? What do we say if people are following social media? Because social media is very popular: Twitter, Instagram, Greek shenanigans, watch the yard, all of those tools. I want our undergraduates to look at how they're showing up. I don't care if you're a chapter of 1, you can look like you're a chapter of 50 by what you share and what you post, how you shout out, what pictures and images you share. Always brand Sigma during this time. Need more information? Want to learn? It's not a secret society as much as we try to portray it. And I know there's something that is within every undergrad where they're like, I want to kind of make them work for it. I want to kind of hold it. They need to come to me. That's not going to cause us to win in the future. We need to be an organization that is out there and making ourselves friendly and showing ourselves friendly so that we can drive those connections and really bring sisters to us. And so it starts with those undergraduate chapters. I always say, you show me a chapter of less than 5 people, I will show you that on their timelines and what they're showing up, they're not branding themselves properly. And so we want to provide those tools and help to make sure you're successful. Our regional leadership team has already met with colleges and universities. And so they met with those colleges and universities to tell them what we were going to do during this time. And so I appreciate them having those calls so that Sigma Gamma Rho was set up also for that university and college support to support our undergraduates being successful on the campus. And then I want to say, along the lines of undergraduate success, I believe, and I came in with the promise that our undergraduates would not have to really pay a lot to be a part of our national conferences. And so we are working on how do we provide at least one complimentary registration for the 2021 Boule and at least one complimentary registration for the Centennial team, for the Centennial event. And I've been working with all of those teams to do that. So the Centennial team, as well as our registration team and our Grand Gramadius, they are working together to figure out, how do our undergraduates go to these? We at least can sponsor one from each chapter. How do we make that happen? And so that's part of the work that they're doing right now. And I'm looking forward to what they're going to do. As I said, I'm a person of, I don't like no, I like yes, but. So if you tell me that we need to find the money to figure out how to do that, I got some good friends and I have some pockets too. We're going to make sure that we do that. So we're going to figure it out. So our undergraduates are successful and tied not only socially, but they connect to the business, because that's what we're about, is developing future leaders.
Make it happen. I always say, make it happen.
Make it happen. So Grand Gramadius, Rhonda Davis, Centennial Financial Tier, Danette Samilton, you see how I called out their names? They're going to
make it happen, sorors. You know they're both going to text us.
I know. They're probably like, no, you didn't put my name.
You know, so speaking, before we get off of our undergraduates, what are we doing to engage them for the long haul? Because it's important that they know that, yes, we want them as undergraduates, but then we want them to become graduate members, Madam Brand, and stay involved at the graduate level.
Yeah, I'd say from a graduate perspective, where I think of the long haul is I think of my story. I was a brand new undergraduate. I had the opportunity to get in a car and go campaign for what would be my future UCC, and I didn't know what I was doing, right? I just went to a conference. I had all black. I had navy blue, I was just not right? But there was a group of women that helped mold me and shape me. I thought I was going for the parties and the fun and the frats, but I ended up falling in love with the business at that conference, my very first regional conference. And when I fell in love with the business, I learned, I listened, I asked questions. I even got up on the mic and got shut down a couple times. But those learning experiences are what I'm trying to provide to our undergraduates. So that's why it's important for me to engage them for the long haul. I got to get them involved with the business, not just strolling and stepping, because it's going to come a time when strolling and stepping is not as important, right? Our membership is still 70% alumni. So the real life begins on the alumni side. The undergraduate side is great, but we transfer into our alumni status, and I want to give them a reason that they can. I want to give them that. I want to see the vision and what we're doing.
I remember, Madam Grant, that when you were syntactics and I said something, and I was a graduate member, but you said that's not germane to the conversation. Next person, I was like, ooh.
You get shut down on that floor. You get shut down on that floor.
So undergraduates and even graduate members, don't take it personally. It's a learning experience, and we grow from it. We
Yeah,
grow from it.
absolutely.
I want to move on now to another one of your thrusts, branding and marketing. And you've been talking a little bit about it already, but I want to start with this question. Let's address this. Let's just get it out there. We know that recently there was a snafu with BET uh, transposing our letters, and sorors, we're not very happy with that. What advice do you have? What can we do uh, to make sure our brand is on point when things come like that?
Yeah, I would say so. If I back all the way up, I do want to thank the one store that contacted the right people to make sure that it was addressed. And that one store actually, for some reason, I'm hearing feedback. I'm not sure if that's your mic not muted or what, but sorry. But the BET event by far was honestly, I believe it was just a mistake on their end. I don't think it was intentional by any means. I don't know if they were dealing with someone that may have been dealing with a disability and was dyslexic or whatever the case may be. And I don't say that to be funny or rude or disrespectful in any way, but they could not necessarily explain what happened. But they did say that there was accountability there. And of course, I don't discipline in their organization and don't really care to. But what I do care about is the fact that they were willing to address it, and they addressed it with the leadership. Um, and that was important for us. That we're still working through some things with their legal counsel and our legal counsel, our external counsel, as well as our PR firm to address some other future things that BT will end up probably owing us as a result of this. So we are working through what that looks like. What I will say is I did get the feedback from their end as well as from sorors that our sorors were on the attack for BET. And what I want to say is we have to be careful. Once again, what did I say at the beginning of the call? It's brand equity. It's our brand equity. So when other companies see us behave in such a way, or artists see us behave in such a way, it's a turnoff to them. Now, should the issue be addressed, allow the national organization to address it. We should not necessarily be attacking a corporation that we need to run a commercial for us on our Founders Day. That messes up our negotiation, right? But we should let us know, the people who actually can do something about it from a legal aspect, from a intellectual property standpoint, to address it. Now, what I really want to address, and this is Rashida speaking right now, not necessarily Madam Grant. One of the things I would say is that when we put our own era on or disrespect on blast as an organization member, what you do is you draw attention from others who say, yeah, look how Sigma Gamma Rho is being disrespected. Right? It's like, I've been disrespected. Look, everybody, I'm being disrespected. Look, everybody, I'm being disrespected. Why would we do that for our own branding purposes? I think sometimes we do things for personal attention, for visibility, and we don't think about the bigger picture of what that means for how Sigma Gamma Rho is viewed by your family members, by your friends, by all of your contacts. We can't not be our own worst enemies. We need to address these things, but we don't need to address them on social media. We need to address them with the people who are actually going to fix it and not necessarily ourselves, because you can't take ownership of that. You don't have the authority to do that. And so that is part of the issue that we have with the BET. And we've done this over and over again with several things where we have ruined and destroyed our own brand because of our mouths and our need to say, look what someone did to me. That is the wrong message, and that is not the way we want to show up as Sigma Gamma Rho. We want to say we have addressed it when someone addresses it with us, but we are radio silence when we are disrespected publicly, because we don't want to necessarily share that, oh, everybody, look, see how they're disrespecting us? Because now the alphas are laughing at you. The omegas are laughing at you. The deltas going, look at them. They always get this. Like, it's not something we want to do. So we got to be careful how we maintain our emotions and how we maintain our business. Emotions has no place in the business of branding and equity for Sigma Gamma Rho.
Can you say that part one more time? So hear
Now
that again.
can I go back into Madam Grant? Can I go back into Madam Grant? Emotions have no business in the branding and equity of Sigma Gamma Rho. Emotions don't move needles. Emotions just make mad corporations and other people feel like we're worthy of being disrespected, because we're going to make sure that we market that we've been disrespected.
You've been busy. You've been participating in a lot of events. Good answers. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. You've been participating in many events. You've been speaking with many organizations that you've had to engage in. How has this enhanced our brand?
Oh my goodness. This has really driven, I've been, first of all, I've been involved in so many events that I can't even account anymore. And it's been great, but our PR firm is doing a lot of work in that space. And we got, oh, it's just so many organizations that are pulling Sigma Gamma Rho in. And I do appreciate it, but 2 to 3 engagements and interviews a week is a lot. But this week, from Saturday to Saturday, I counted it, I'll have 14 appearances, interviews, and speeches. So that's part of the reason why I made this week so important as to the run to the election season to represent Sigma Gamma Rho. It will enhance our brand because we have a voice. And I worked really hard to really distinguish myself in gold. Tonight I'm wearing royal blue because we are the lovely ladies of Sigma Gamma Rho, and I'm wearing royal blue for you. But when we go out publicly, I try to brandish the gold to make sure that I show up. But in those speeches, I'm always prepared to position ourselves a little differently than others are positioned. I'm gonna try to show up a little more glammed up. I'm going to market to our sorors, but I'm also going to use every platform I can to showcase that we are women of excellence, and we have measurements as to our plans, and we're working against them. That is really everything. Is like the so what, and yeah what, and now what. That is really how I approach that.
I want to talk about community impact because that's another one of your thrusts. We're about 90 days or so into this administration, and you are how are you proud of your community impacts, the things that you've been able to do, the community impacts too that we've all made so far? Yeah. We know we've had to do things differently, that we're virtual, we're not out as much as we like to do, but we know stores can drop things off if they choose to, 1 or 2. But how do you feel about the impact we've made so far?
Yeah, I would say during COVID, I feel like we are making an impact. Stores are figuring it out, right? They're figuring out how to have those virtual spaces. When we all vote, and their commitment to voter registration, get out to vote, and translating all of that information to a virtual, easy to use package has been helpful for us to really focus on our social action thrust. Our October 22nd event, we knew that we had a women's wellness event. Our programs chair, so is Aretha Washington, and our women's wellness chair, Dr. Faith Foreman Hayes, really did a good job of saying, what are we going to do to make sure our stores get their service hours? We come together, and we also make it a learning event. And so our commitment with Sisters Network to making sure that our low and underserved communities get mammograms, that was important to make sure that we hit that women's wellness initiative. Now, we got many other things coming. And I know COVID is still looming. The flu season is coming. I had a flu shot yesterday. We got a lot going on. And so I will say that we will likely have even more virtual support to make sure that we can continue to make the impact. This first 90 days, we've been able to come off the ground hard with setting up the structures to make sure we're successful for the remainder of the sorority year.
How are we? Give us more advice, or do you have any tips for the regions, for the chapters, of how they can move forward as we continue to operate virtually? Because, as I mentioned before at the top, we have to think outside of the box with how we're doing our community service projects, right? How we're doing the scholarship efforts, how we're bonding as sisters.
Yeah. And I would say that there are community needs. And so you'll get a message tomorrow about our day of service event that the programs committee is working on. That'll come out in our golden communique, and just some ideas of how to engage safely and what I call serve safely, right? But for chapters, there's nothing barring you from saying, we want to be able to touch youth. How do we do that? How do we select 30 deserving people, young people, for book bags? Can I call a school? Can I figure out what that looks like? Can I make sure that everyone in my chapter goes out and buys the items to stuff a bag and then drop that bag at that school, right? Can we do webinar events to educate our smaller communities, bring our church members together, bring our bankers together, like whatever the case is to help people during this time? We are looking to think creatively. We do have Zoom licenses available for our chapters that we did purchase and contract with that would allow some of our smaller chapters who can't afford the platform to be able to use some of our platform spaces in order to do things. So if we have a chapter out there that's like, we're too small, we don't have it, how do we engage? We can do some things nationally to help those chapters out to make sure that you can do things virtually.
Who do they contact? Who do they contact, Madam Graham, with that? Because that's a big one for those who may need it. Who do you want them to email? The executive director? We'll put Sarah Eubanks on blast here.
You put Sarah Eubanks on blast. Sarah Eubanks is going to kill me. She's going to kill me. But yes, right now I would say if I'm put on the spot, we always email Sarah Eubanks and she'll direct it to the right area to make sure it happens.
The executive director at sgrow1922.org.
Don't come to us with this yard chapter of 100 people and it costs you $15 a month to run Zoom and you tell us. We're talking about our very small chapters that financially may not be able to handle it, or even some of our undergraduate chapters who have small grad chapters who can't assist them, right? Yeah. We're talking about real need here. We want to make sure that we support the people that have real need.
Okay, let's move on to operational excellence, because as you say, Sigma women, we move in excellence, Madam Grand. With a change in administration, we know that there are always changes in operations, there are new processes, new people. You bring in your staff, the people who you want on board. What do we need to know? What processes are new that we need to know? Any changes, any enhanced experiences that we need to know about?
Yeah, I would say one of the big ones is the golden communique. So we have, as I call it, we're no longer spamming the organization with so many emails, but we're putting our emails in one concise communication every other Wednesday. That communication is what you need to know. It's not necessarily a look back on things that have happened, but it's what you need to know to be successful. The other thing is to we brought in a PR firm. I think that has been a huge win. We've had PR support in the past, so I don't want to negate that, but we have brought the PR firm that actually supports a lot of the Disney releases, and their biggest work has been around Black Panther. So they did a successful job around all of those actors and actresses in there, as well as branding that Disney movie quite large. And so we trust them to be able to set us apart as we approach our centennial. The other thing that SOARs often complain about is we have a membership card. Well, why do we have a membership card? Well, some members really do want those membership cards for historical purposes and also proof purchase purposes, right? But we made a QR code for our membership cards, and the QR code will point you directly to your membership benefits. When our new website comes and our new mobile app comes, so we are branding a new website and a new mobile app, but that QR code, when you scan it, you'll be able to go right to your member benefits or any other thing that we may say, scan your code right now for X, right? We can redirect it. So those are some of the operational processes we want to put in place, really to enhance, at the end of the day, SOAR Spears is about enhancing the SOAR's membership experience. I work for a company that is their customer centric is it. Like if you're not satisfying your customer, you're not delivering. And so our membership experience is important because without the members, we can't program, and without programming, we are not sitting in a row.
And you hit on this with the future, right? Future things. We're working on a new website. You said the QR codes are going to be on our membership cards, apps. What else is in store for Sigma Gamma Rho under this administration?
I would say two big things to add to that is we are establishing a professional development institute for our sorors to teach them how to run for public office, how to run for a sorority office, how to develop their skills in tech. So if they're interested in tech and they want a job in tech, we want to develop women in that space. Job interview skills for our undergraduates. Our masterminds program is coming back under Madam Past Grant Deborah Ketcher-Smith, where she's working one of the arms of that Professional Development Institute. And then our tech partner run a part of it. It'll be a full house of activity, a full house. And so I'm really proud of that. And then, of course, our big thing is Centennial. And I'm going to let Centennial have their own thunder, but I will tell you that these women have been working very hard and positioning us to have a big branded event that it'll be historical for us. It's going to be historical for us.
In the meantime, what do you want us to be prepared for? What should we be doing over the next year, especially this sorority year?
I'm going to leave you with this. We're going to move fast. We're going to change. And I mentioned earlier that I am a D, so it's dominating is the term, but very deliberate. And so when I mean deliberate, it means that we'll go in directions really fast, and sometimes we're going to fail. Sometimes it's going to be bumpy. Sometimes we're going to make mistakes. But I'm all about that fast progression because I don't want speed. I don't want perfection to be the enemy of production. And so we will be results driven in this administration. We will move fast and we will admit our mistakes. We will fail fast. We will take the feedback and we'll keep going. But what I would ask my sorors is that you need to be prepared that things are going to be different and be prepared for change. And you just roll with us. And I'm sure you're going to be happy in the end.
Yes, we're going to roll with you, Madam Grant. We're there. We're on this flight. We're here and we're ready to go. So we have some questions that sorors submitted to ask you. They wanted me to ask you some of these questions. So here we go. Can you provide an update on the follow-ups related to the Seven Pearls Foundation?
With Seven Pearls, I came in and I did realize that the prior administration did send a communication of lease agreement and MOU proposed terms on July 23rd, in time for our next regroup of the special boulay. So that did happen. I did have a great meeting with the president of Seven Pearls, and we are both as committed as possible to working together to figure out how we do kind of bring ourselves along and make sure that we heal through this process and that we don't create further tensions in the process. And so at her request, she said, hey, let me get another look at that, the lease agreement, the MOU, and we'll take a look at it and give you feedback. And so that was submitted about a couple weeks ago. And so we are still awaiting feedback from Seven Pearls on what they would like to see in that MOU or lease agreement. We are still holding to the Grand Chapter's decision. So the Grand Chapter's decision, we don't have the authority to overrule that as a board of directors, is that once those agreements are signed, we will go ahead and make sure that the monies are transferred out of escrow and directly to suffice for the mortgage. So when those things happen, we got to get that agreement signed, and we are positioned and waiting on Seven Pearls to deliver that back to us with feedback.
Another question I have for you, or sorors have questions for this question for you. With the branding efforts, are we looking at upgrading our website? I know you said that there will be changes to it, but with those changes, are we going to see upgrades to make it even more user friendly?
Yes, we will have upgrades to our website. Our website it will be, I've already seen the wireframe, so it's beautifully laid out. And if you recall, and go to communicate maybe a couple weeks ago, a couple iterations of go to communicate, there was a request for photos because we selected some photos to share on our website. So our go to communicate, share that information. Our website is being developed. And the biggest part that we're working on right now, it looks pretty and it has all the right tabs and it looks great. But we need to integrate it so that our sorors only section works correctly. So we will probably do a soft launch, and it may be a little hodgepodge until we can get that sorors only piece worked out, because IMUS is our feeder system to our website. So our tech team is working on that, and we're going to probably have to employ some resources to help drive that to the end.
Madam Grant, we want to see each other. I want to be able to travel to see you at some point. I want to see my parents at some point. But so, what's our plan for in-person activities after December 31st? Do we know yet? Are we just kind of waiting? Is it wait and see?
We have been a little more proactive than a wait and see. The board of directors did review a COVID-19 plan that would go into effect January 1 for the sisterhood. It was requiring some additional work and some additional research to make sure that we were moving in the right direction. And so we will be considering a new revised plan in mid-November, and we'll hopefully share that plan before we get into January 1. We don't want to share the plan on January 1st. We want to share the plan ahead of that so that chapters can plan accordingly and say, okay, is this, are we going through June 30th? Are we going to March 31st? Can I contract? Am I going to regional conference? Am I going to boulay? So we will have a response for our membership within the next few weeks. So I will tell you this, we are looking, I'm going to be as transparent as possible. We have had sorors who are no longer here due to COVID-19. We have had sorors who have been considered long haulers that I have been actively speaking with that are very sick, although they no longer had a virus in their body. This is real. And so we don't, in our need to fellowship, I don't want to kill any of our sorors or affiliates in the process. And I don't want us to hurt our communities and be blamed for being a super spreader event, correct? So we will approach this carefully. We are looking at CDC guidance. We're also working with our liability companies to see what's out there. So when people do violate the policy, are we able to transfer the liability to them personally? For the lawsuits to go their way. So if we do have a super spread event, who does that go to? Does it go to the chapter bastards for making that decision? So we are looking more strategically how we address that, and you will have an answer within the next 3 weeks in all fairness.
And Madam Grant, it's important people know because you're following the science. You all are investigating. You may put this out, and I think it's important to note. I know I'm not trying to speak on your behalf, so don't get mad at me on this one. But the former reporter in me is coming out too. But in the PR person in me is coming out. It's important to know that yes, you may put this out, but it can change in December, right?
That's right.
We have to see what's going to happen with everything.
We have to see. It's a dual pandemic going on. We got the flu and we have COVID. And I know COVID has hit my family personally. And so I know what that looks like. And I'm telling you, if you haven't had it within your family, you just read posts on the internet, you'll never experience what really people are going through. So we got to be careful. And it doesn't stop you from doing your civic duty or your personal duty to the communities. It just stops you from representing in the name of Sigma Gamma Rho.
And I have one last question. I know sorors have so many questions, and if you didn't have an opportunity, if you have more questions for the grant, you can always reach out to your syntactees because your regional syntactees is always in contact with the first grant and the Grand Basilisk. So sorors, please feel free to do that. And we know our Grand Basilisk is always, she's accessible to us as well. But that's the first step too, is going to your syntactees to get these questions answered. But this is the last one I want to ask. And I know you said you didn't want to steal the Centennial Committee's thunder, but any surprises, anything you can give us, maybe one little small thing for Centennial?
I will, oh my goodness. I will tell you that we are, we're signing a very, very large artist very soon. I will give you that. They'll kill me for saying any more, but I will tell you that the lineup for the entertainment alone is powerhouse. It's powerhouse. All right, I think it's time for me to, we just zapped Sora Spears out of the, she didn't get to say goodbye. However, but thank you, Sora Spears, for the opportunity, and thank you, Soros, for joining this evening. One of the things that we thought was important is that we bring voices to the table that are other than ourselves. And so tonight, I am bringing to you Mr. Simon Bailey, Simon T. Bailey. He is an entrepreneur, a life coach, a motivating speaker. He has been a part of Sigma Gamma Rho many times before, but he wants to bring a special message directly to you as individuals, because I know you're tired of hearing from me. So at this time, without further ado, I would like to introduce this great man, Simon T. Bailey, to you.
Thank you so much, Madam President. Hello, Sigma Gamma Rho. It is so good to be with you again. I feel like family. First of all, I have good news and I have even better news. And the good news, Sigma Gamma Rho, is that you are here. The better news is that your best days are in front of you, because all of you are being invited to lead the field. Wherever you are right now, I believe that this is the invitation for you to lead like never before. And LEAD is an acronym that simply stands for, how do I begin to learn? How do I educate? How do I activate? And how do I become divergent? When I talk about learn, how many of you during this last 7-8 months during this global pandemic have had to learn, unlearn, and relearn? All of us have now become very savvy at some level with Zoom. We've discovered a capacity that was always there, but it would have never been challenged until something happened that we had to discover what many would call fortitude. Fortitude is the new attitude. Fortitude, which comes from the word fortis, where we get the word fortify. And in developing our fortitude, we have learned how to have courage in the midst of adversity. What else is interesting as you think about learning is there are 5 skills that, according to LinkedIn, is critically important as we think about the future. And I invite you as a sorority to consider these 5 skills on your learning journey. Skill number 1 is creativity. Skill number 2, adaptability. Skill number 3, collaboration. Skill number 4, persuasion. And skill number 5, emotional intelligence. Time will not allow me to go into all 5 of those skills, but if there's one skill that I would invite us to consider in supporting Madam President and certainly the future of the sorority as you march towards your centennial celebration, and that is the skill of adaptability. Adaptability is the ability to cope. Our coping skills and the capacity to cope invites us to recover in the midst of change. So in recovering in the midst of change, this is the opportunity where you get to learn like never before. But after we learn and become more adaptable, and hopefully there'll be another time when we can come back together and I'll dive a little bit deeper in helping us think about adaptive resilience. The next thing we have to think about is, how do I begin to educate? And education is finding the ability to engage others on the journey of change, on the journey of shifting and developing and discovering. And here's the deal. The word education comes from a word called educare. So often when we think about education, we think about what goes in, but the word educare means to draw out. So when I am educated and I am engaging others on their journey of educating, I am drawing out of them their brilliance, their insight, their potential, their genius. And I want to let all of you know, ladies, that you are absolutely positively brilliant. And so when I understand educate, you are drawing out of you what's in you. Why is that important? Well, your organization was founded by 7 educators. And these 7 educators back in 1922 had the foresight to draw out of them the ability to set the stage for this organization right now. And you stand on the shoulders of amazing women who decided to lead the field and would not settle for the status quo. Now I invite you to upgrade your verbal software and use your words, use your voice, use your vision, use your competence to begin to draw out of everyone their brilliance. What would it be like to tell individuals during this time what's right about them instead of what's wrong with them? And this ability to educate by understanding that all of you have the ability, wait for it, to hug people with your words. And I believe Madam President, everything that she is about is helping us to become educated. But then that leads me to the third big idea. And that is, if we're going to lead, we have to activate. And activate is simply understanding that if we want broadband results, we can no longer use dial-up methods. And in a world of what I would call hyper acceleration, where everything is moving quicker and faster, there is no time to say, child, why are we doing this? What has happened? No, The person who is activated, the leader that is activated, like yourselves, has the ability to say, you know what? I'm on the journey and I'm going to activate. I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to use my mouth, my mind. I'm going to speak up early and often to help the least, the last, and the lost. Three of the pillars that your fabulous organization, when it was incorporated, December 30th, 1929, if my memory serves me correctly, was leadership, public service, and education. Leadership development, public service, and education. So when we think about activating, being involved with our communities like never before to help the least, the last, the lost, those who are sometimes forgotten. I am here. I grew up in Buffalo, New York. And when I went to school at Bennett High School, a teacher saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, and it activated something in me that here I am now, some 35 years later, living out something that a teacher saw in me. And I believe that all of you have the ability to activate. What are you going to do to activate your potential and activate your genius? And then finally, how do you become divergent? Because everything I believe that Sigma Gamma Rho is about is you don't have to do it the way it's always been done. Being divergent is going the opposite direction. When everybody zigs, you zag. Being divergent is to say, is there a better way? I'll never forget when I was growing up, my mother and father had to come to the school because the teachers had said that I was hyperactive. And I was about 10 years of age. Today it's called ADHD, but back in the day it was called that child is hyperactive. And if I was in Texas, they would say, bless his little heart. So the teacher and the principals, they met with my parents, and my mom said, there is nothing wrong with him. No, we're not going to put him on any Ritalin or anything. There's nothing wrong with him. He is fine. And my mother, being divergent, said, I'm going to pray for you because mom is 80 and still alive. I stand on the shoulders of my mother, Mary Bailey. And I'll never forget, at 10 years of age, she would come in my room 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I was in a little small rickety bed, and she would put some anointing oil on my head, and she would begin to pray over me. And she would say, God, this is the child that you gave me. Can you begin to help him and meet him at the point of his need? See, my mom was divergent. She was not going to do it the way everyone had always had done it before her. She went the opposite way. And I stand here today because of a mom that decided to be divergent. I believe that in the days and weeks and months to come, the thinking that will be prevalent throughout your sorority is, how can we make sure we're looking out for each other? How do we ensure that we're taking care of our families? And how are we building the brand of our sorority in the communities where we serve? And it's in that divergent thinking to think about your brand as a connection, a perception, a moment, and a memory. And every single day, if we lead the field, we will understand how to learn, how to educate, how to activate ourselves by being mindful of the moment and memories that we create socially, online, certainly during this time of physical distancing. And the reason I say physical distancing instead of social distancing is because we are social beings by nature. So I just want you to think about, out of the learn, educate, activate, divergent, which one resonates with you, and post it in the chat for me just so I can see it quickly. What's resonating with you as you think about how you are going to be different? So here's what I want to do. I'm about to turn it back over to Madam President. But as you think about leading the field, I just want to leave you just with a little
Bluetooth
something
pairing.
that I think will just set the tone. So if you're sitting down, I just want you to stand up and just go with me on what is one of my favorite songs, all right? Because I want you to think about it's your time to lead the field. Get ready to lead the field.
Here we go. It's my time to rise. It's my time to shine. It's my time to live. It's my time to fly. It's my time.
I love this song.
It's my time. I can see it. I can feel it. Time has come now to reveal it. I've been waiting for a long time. Gotta do it. And won't let nothing hold
Sigma
me
Gamma
down.
Rho, I
Gotta
love
do
you.
it.
In the words of George Wallace,
'Cause
I
may
love
not
you,
get another
I believe in you,
chance. I believe
and there's not a
it.
darn thing you can do about it.
I want it.
Lead the
I can
field.
have it. I believe it. Done with falling, done with losing. I can do it. I think I'll tell myself again. I can do.
Hey, Simon T. Bailey, just awesome. And he knew that was one of our soars, that song from Sarah Kelly Price. So soars, this is just wonderful. I hope he wrote down, I was writing down notes that he said, let's try to draw the best out of each other. That's what's so important too, with educating each other. And I hope he wrote those things down, create creativity, adaptability, collaboration, persuasive, emotional intelligence. He is just awesome. Now I'm going to turn things over to our executive director, Sarah Cynthia Eubanks, and Sarah Eubanks has a few giveaways for us tonight. Good evening, Madam Executive Director. Looking beautiful as
Good
always.
evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. It is my honor to bring you greetings from our international corporate headquarters located in Cary, North Carolina. This evening, I first would like to thank our dynamic 25th International Grand Basilisk, Rashida S. Liberty, for leading with vision and being driven by purpose. We are on our way to great things, and we are excited this evening. So thank you, Madam Grand. Also, Simon T. Bailey, yes. Thank you for all of your words of encouragement. And yes, praying always works. As well, we also want to thank Sora Angela Spears for facilitating our program this evening. Yes, in regards to the Zoom, Madam Grand is working for me this week. So make sure you send all of your Zoom requests to me and she will respond back to you accordingly. But this evening, we actually have some prizes for 3 lucky sorors who have joined us this evening, who happened, as I counted, to don the numbers 7, 12, and 22. So this evening, on behalf of the International Grand Basilisk, we will be awarding to Soror Orisha Hayes, Lambda Delta Sigma Chapter, Bernita Henley, Mu Sigma Sigma Chapter, and Sandra Kelly, Lambda Sigma Sigma Chapter. You will be receiving an email tomorrow with a $50 gift certificate to our Sigma store. Make sure you go in there and get your day of service shirt or any other items that we also have available on the website. Just a quick shameless plug in regards to membership cards. Please go on to your IMIS profile and make sure that your address is correct. We are currently preparing to send back over 600 membership cards that will return to the international corporate headquarters within the next week and a half. So it is a very important source to make sure for you to get your membership card, and then of course to get the Aurora, which will be coming out sued, please verify your address. It is my pleasure to be here with you this evening, and even more of an honor to bring back to our StreamYard State of the Sorority this evening, our 25th International Grand Basilisk, the hardest working Grand Basilisk in the Greek business, Rashida S. Liberty.
Thank you so much again, sorors. Thank you tonight for coming. This was a night of a lot of firsts, and so I could not do this without a huge support team. And so I want to thank, first of all, I want to thank a very special Syntacti's Thomasina Gore, who stood in the gap tonight on the Oprah Winfrey OWN event for the state of North Carolina. So she looked beautiful. I saw the photos. I saw her on there and representing so well. And so I want to thank Syntacti's Gore for really standing in the gap for me tonight publicly. And then I also want to thank the women behind the magic, right? There's a lot of women behind the magic. My wonderful chief of staff, Amy, as well as Cynthia Eubanks, our executive director. And I want to thank our tech team, Leah Nolan. And I want to give a special kudos and a thank you to a woman who has been working so hard since being appointed. And that is our public relations chair, Sorority Butler. She has made the visuals come together for us tonight and really has done a great job of making sure that everything was on point, and also working on the golden communique that will be released tomorrow morning. So I want to really give her a special kudos for all of her hard work. Thank you so much. We cannot do this without our full international board of directors that is working very hard. I would say their hands to the bones. I tell them no crying in baseball, but they're up for the challenge. And every single national officer and board member has been working hard, as well as all of our standing committees. So we stand together and we stand strong. And I want to say, sorors, it is now Sigma's time to shine. We have always shined, but we're just going to elevate that light just a little more. So thank you so much. Let's keep going. And I hope you are inspired tonight.
Thank you, Madam Grand Basilisk. It is wonderful, wonderful to hear all that's in store. I'm excited, you know, here on the East Coast, it's almost 10 o'clock, and I am just thrilled, excited, and so pumped up for what's in store for our organization this sorority year. Thank you, Madam Grand, for doing this State of the Sorority address a little differently. We so appreciate it. Once again, thank you to the tech team. Thank you to Sarah Eubanks, and thank you to Simon T. Bailey for those encouraging words. So, sorors, I do hope that you found this very educational, motivational, and inspirational. Let's continue to do big things in our organization. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.